Once upon a time, two retired teachers decided to convert their garage into a pottery studio. Along with their daughter and son, they built a business around the idea that the world could use a little more art and a lot more artists. We're the Kaya family. Welcome to Wocky Pots. Hi everybody, how you doing? How you been? How are things? Shane and Diana for coffee time number 22 here at Wocky Pots Studio. Okay, so we had an epic week last week. It was fantastic. Sure, we had so much fun last week. Let's talk about last week first.
Okay.
What do you want to mention?
Alrighty. Well, we had our first homeschool clay class.
Right.
We've got a 4-week session going on, and last week we focused on the history of clay. And had a great time. It's a group of 10 children and all ages from really young to 17. And,
right. So ordinarily our art classes are geared towards two-dimensional kind of art. This is our first time offering art classes specifically for three-dimensional art and we're working with clay. And this past week we talked about the human history of clay. So the origins of clay and ceramic use and that kind of stuff. And it was a great class. We talked about pinch pots because that was some of the earliest forms of pottery. And probably the most exciting thing to me is we had the kids work with Cherokee Clay, and our plan is to do a pit firing with that pottery. And we're going to see how it goes. This is one of the pieces that one of the students did. I believe this one belongs to Artemis. Artemis made an awesome little pinch pot bowl, and our concentration was making sure the sides and the bottom were of even thickness, and I'm pretty sure she nailed that. Good job on that, Artemis, and everybody else who participated. Yeah. I can't wait to go farther.
Yeah, we had a really good time. We even looked at an artist's work.
Right.
We looked at some of Picasso's
pottery, right?
Pottery.
Picasso's not known for his pottery as well as for his painting, and it was interesting to see him in that new perspective.
Yes, and I like his pottery.
It's very vibrant.
It's vibrant and it's fun and it's different. So and we always like to share when we did the 2D art classes. We always shared some artists and their works to give exposure so that it's something that can be recognized again. And so that we're trying to do the same thing with the pottery pieces, so that if they are in a museum and a gallery, or they might encounter a piece of pottery and they're like, that looks like,
right, and then
in this case, Picasso's.
And then also, we continue to talk about the elements and principles of art, and incorporate that with our analysis of artists' work.
And I will say the piece that we chose of Picasso's was a great one for because we were able to talk about pattern and repetition in the piece as well as lines.
Yeah, it was a great art class.
We had such a good time, and then afterwards, a few of them stayed afterwards, and we had a good time looking at different wild things growing in the yard. And
I cannot believe one of my students got me to eat pine needles, you guys. Apparently they're perfectly edible.
Yes.
Guess what they taste like? Pine needles. Right, that's
yes.
But it was interesting. It was great for me because you get to eat something and floss at the same time, and I thought that was pretty
I'm
cool.
trying to think what she had me eat that tasted like Sour Patch Kids.
Oh, that was some kind of little clover looking thing.
Yes, I can't
remember what it was.
I don't remember what it was now, but we also have this beautiful crimson clover blooming right now, and I didn't know it, but you can make a tea from it. Such a knowledgeable young lady, really knowledgeable. It was great,
fantastic. Anyway, it was a great class. Yes. What else did we have happening last week?
I know, because we could go on and on.
We could spend the whole time talking about that awesome class.
Yes. Well, we spent the majority of the week on things having to do with the class, and then of course on getting ready for our big show.
Really big show.
Yes.
Really, really big show.
Yes, Revenge of the Stitch, an SCA event.
That was Saturday.
Yes, that was on Saturday.
Yesterday seems like
a lifetime ago.
But it was only yesterday.
Well, we left here at 7:15, 7:20.
About that, but
Yeah.
it's roughly 7:30. Got arrived there at about 10. No, exactly 10. It was
Yes, we
exactly
did.
10 on the nose. And then we unpacked, and on the way up, we were kind of talking about our expectations
Yes.
and what
Kinda
we thought
set
we
a
would
goal.
set our goal, and we basically set a minimum amount where if we would consider it a success if we sold this much, acceptable if we sold this much, and that's what we talked about. And let's just say we weren't even unpacked yet when we met our goal. We met our goal before
Yes.
we had even unpacked all of our crates.
Yes.
To say that the day was a success would be an extreme understatement. The day was a fantastic success.
Yes.
We sold around 50 pieces there at the show, and I don't know if you know anything about us or some of the local events we've been to. That's a hell of a lot. That's a lot.
I mean,
for us. 50 pieces.
It was astounding, but
It was
and let me tell you,
around 50,
it
maybe
was
more.
the selling of the pieces was wonderful. But what was even better was the appreciation.
Yeah, it was.
I
It was great.
they were the most welcoming group of people, and the appreciation that they had for pottery and how pottery feels in the hand, and it just was really, and then they wanted the process described, and there were so many conversations all
So
throughout
many
the day.
questions. One noted difference in all the market shows we've done before yesterday, people who like our pottery would basically walk past the table and look at our pottery and maybe walk back a couple times and look at it, and occasionally we'd get a comment like, "Oh, your work is so beautiful," and we always appreciate those comments. A marked difference between our normal crowd and the crowd yesterday was that the people yesterday were not at all shy about picking stuff up, and that's fantastic.
Yes.
They picked up everything and palpated it and turned it around in their hands. And one of the things that one of the bits of feedback we got was how much people loved some of the textures we were incorporating in some of our work. And when an artist does a painting, paints on a canvas or whatever and hangs it on a wall, you don't actually go up to the canvas very often and feel the canvas and handle the paint. You don't do that. But with pottery, it's meant to be interacted with. So for me, it was very satisfying to see people interact with our pottery, actually pick it up. And one thing that has never happened to me before that was a real eye-opener was the gentleman that came up to me and said that he loved this one bowl he was looking at, but it was a little too thin for what he needed. And I thought to myself, that's not something anybody's ever said of my work, that it was too thin, because normally my work is fairly thick. But it was actually this bowl,
Yes.
this bowl here, which just came out of our last kiln load, and he loved the look of it, but he said it was just a little too thin for what they needed. And what the folks at the event yesterday apparently wanted more than anything was stuff that was durable enough to be portable for camping. So we had several comments along the lines of appreciating the sturdiness or the stability of some of the pieces. We had one man came rushing up to our table just to pick up this pitcher and look at it and then put it back down, and with a look of disappointment, "Oh man, it's a pitcher." And then I asked him what he was talking about, because he seemed so happy until he got closer to it. He didn't want it to be a pitcher with the little pour spout. He was hoping that this was a mug. That's what he wanted. So we talked about it for a bit.
Yeah.
And what he wants is a cup that's wide at the bottom and gets a little narrower at the top like this, with a substantial handle, something that if it's on a table when they're camping and somebody walks by and bumps the table, it's not going to tip over or go
Yes.
flying. So based on that input, I'm going to be making a lot of cups that are this shape with maybe a thicker coffee cup kind of a handle, but with a wide base, and I'm going to be making them slightly heavier by design so that I can better meet the needs of people that want something that is less tippy.
Right. And then that way we can make sure too, the next time we go to that type of an event, that we have more pieces that are like that. We did sell quite a few of our plates. And of course, because and what people were saying to me too is they loved those small oblong plates, our sandwich plates. Because they said when they have their feast, they only eat one thing at a time. You get one thing, then you go back, you get the next, then you go back and you get the next. And so it was the perfect size that they needed. And so many of them, they have special colors that they wear that signifies their family. And so so they're looking for pieces like that. And in fact, we had one lady who bought a mug. She's like, it's perfect. It's just me. It's so perfect. And it was one of the ones just out of the kiln.
Right, fresh out of the kiln.
Fresh out of the kiln. It it had the black obsidian, and then it had the smoky merlot over top of it with the flux.
I'll show a picture of it.
Yes, and she was so in love with that mug that she bought that, and then she said to me, she said, can you do me a plate? Can you do me a bowl? And she said, and a yarn bowl. And I was like, I can. And come to find out, we were so happy to know that she's not that far away from us. Even though we had all driven, quite a few hours yesterday, she's maybe 45 minutes away from us. And so she's like, when everything is done, she says, I'll just come to the studio and pick it up.
And she asked for a bottle. So we're going to do a bottle also for her, and then we'll glaze it with those colors.
Yes, and we had lots of people who, they're like, well, we want to be able to contact you and make some special requests and all. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. There are people that like our stuff.
It was very nice to have all those fantastic conversations and make all those connections with people who will want us to do things for them in the future. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes,
but we've got some real work to do.
Yes, we do, because we realized sitting here today that we came home. We took 9 crates with us, and we came back with 6 crates of pottery.
So we literally sold 30% of our entire inventory in one event. And
we have First Friday coming up next week. So we're going to be doing lots of glazing this week, trying to get another kiln load out so that we have some new things to take there too. But in the kiln load last week, we talked about the fact that we were going to have some of our favorite pieces out. And the funny thing was, a lot of our favorite pieces are no longer with us.
They didn't make it with us. We only got to love them for a couple days, and now somebody else is loving them.
That's right. And of course, Michael, thank you so much, Michael, for suggesting that the SCA group have us at the event. So it was a wonderful experience. We just really enjoyed it. I can't talk enough about that. But Michael got your favorite piece,
right? So Michael bought that stein that just came out of the kiln, and I got to say, he's had his eye on it since before it was even fired.
Right, it was just in greenware.
Still
stage.
Greenware.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad that he was able to take that home with him. It was probably my favorite thing that came out of the kiln. We do have a couple of other favorite things that came out. This picture that I talked about earlier didn't come out of this last kiln load. In fact, this is very old. It's an earlier piece that I did. Yes. This bowl did come out of our last kiln load, and I love the glazing on it. Yeah. But it's an example of the kind of bowl that nobody really bought because it's a little narrower at the bottom, and it's not typically the kind of dinnerware that they really want for camping and for being portable and stable and all that stuff. They appreciated the glazing on it, but it just is. We had other things that sold
that did meet those. Yes. Yep. And of course, you've already mentioned this bowl, and this bowl is a stunning bowl, and I know this bowl will very quickly find its home because it's a bowl meant to be in a home.
Right.
It really is. But the other piece that matches this is a stunning one right here. And it does. It looks just like ocean waves. So this is actually one of my favorite pieces just because that was what I was going for even when I applied the flux, and you really can see waves and waves behind it, and I'm very happy with that one. So that was one of the things that came out of the kiln. That
We had a larger version of that
yeah,
that had a more rounded bottom that did sell. Somebody did
yes,
buy that.
yes, and it had like an indentation around.
I'll show a
it, so
picture of that
it
one too. It was
fit.
one of my favorites
It
also.
fit right in your hand. And of course, the other thing that came out of the kiln that is one of my very favorites because I sculpted it. You know, and I do get happy when I do something like this, and it actually meets my expectation. You know, because it's so rare that that happens. So,
Well, it's beautiful.
and I know, you know, so this was another thing. So I am very pleased with the way this came out of the kiln, and I love that. I love my little whale fluke. And then the yarn bowls, of course.
Everybody loved the yarn bowls.
Yes, and I must say, we are super careful that our yarn bowls have no places that are rough and will snag the yarn.
We still have a couple of yarn bowls that didn't sell, and also I'm looking over there on the rack. We have at least one yarn bowl over there that needs to be glazed, and I think that's going to go as well. The next ones we make will be a little bit larger for a larger ball of yarn.
Yes. So, and that actually, I want to go ahead and move on because thinking about the whole SCA event, we had so many conversations with people, and there were so many wonderful, interesting people who could talk about different time periods in history and what their craft was, or what their area of expertise or what they studied was. And then we had this gentleman come up to the table who bought a pendant for his wife, and the pendant had a dragonfly on it. Well, we had a conversation with him, and then later he comes back again, and his wife comes over, and I got to meet her, and she uses a lucite and makes cording, and he actually had made the lucite for her. And so that was very interesting. But it sort of tied everything together from last week, because when we were doing the clay class with the kids, we were talking about the Cherokee Indians and how the Cherokee Indians had, how they fired their pottery. And I shared with the students that day the legend of how the Cherokee people learned to make pottery. And it just was so neat. So can you tell them briefly
Sure.
about that?
So the legend goes that many years ago, a young girl was heading to the river to bring home a bucket of water for her people, and the bucket she was using was a bark bucket made from the bark of a tree. So she's heading for the river, and she sees a mud dauber, one of those little hornets, a mud dauber stuck in the mud. And she wanted to help it, but she didn't want to get stung. So she got a stick and held the stick out for the mud dauber to grab hold of, and she was able to free the mud dauber from the mud, and the little hornet flew away. But as she approached the river, she tripped and fell, and her tree bark bucket broke into a million pieces. And she was distraught because she wasn't able to bring water back to her people. And she heard a buzzing, and the little mud dauber that she had just saved landed nearby and explained to her that the mud dauber was going to show her how to make pottery so that she could take that knowledge back to her people, and then they would know. So the mud dauber showed the girl how to make pottery out of the clay near the river, and then how to fire it to make it durable so it would last. And the girl took that knowledge back to her people, and that's, according to legend, how the Cherokee learned how to make pottery. That's the legend.
And why it ties everything together, you know, we talked to them about that in the clay class. Well, that gentleman who had made the lucite for his wife, one of the times that he came back over, we're standing there and we're talking, and he tells me about how he had learned the Cherokee craft of making pottery because he was part Indian. And he described this whole process of putting the pottery with the fire and then building the fire up around them, and with the smoke spots on the pottery afterwards. But the other cool thing that he did, and you had shared a video with the students of people finding the clay in the riverbanks.
Right, in near the river,
Yes.
where flowing water had deposited sediments many years, centuries before.
Yes, and he also shared with me, he said, yes, he said, I go and I get clay, and he said, I found a lot of red clay. He said, and I take just enough for what I need from that area. And we had just had such a good conversation. It was wonderful. And then at the end of the day, when it was time to leave, normally we pack up and then we go haul everything out. Let me tell you, that was the easiest I've ever packed up.
It was all hands on deck. Everybody helped.
The gentleman who we had that conversation with, so many people, they come over, they took the table covers off, they folded the tables,
swarmed the table and helped us
carried the crates, and I'm like, wow.
It was really great. The only thing that I can say about the day is, I wish we probably left a little sooner, because we were set up in an area where they were doing the judging for a competition, for sewing competition, and we probably should have cleared out before they did that. We kind of felt like we were in the way a little bit. So if we had it to do all over again, we would have ducked out before that. Because I really did kind of feel like we were in the way.
They certainly didn't seem.
They did not at all suggest that.
And Doug even said, "Oh, you're fine, you're fine."
Right. But it was really a fantastic opportunity, and everybody was so friendly, and we had a great time. And in fact, we probably we started doing this pottery thing as our retirement. Like we retired from teaching to open a pottery studio. We made enough to retire from our retirement. I think we can retire.
I don't think so. No.
You don't think so?
No.
You could probably retire.
No. What yesterday?
But what I really want to do is be a teacher.
You're so funny. You're so funny.
I'm
what
kidding.
yesterday did, I think, for us more than anything, was it kind of confirmed the fact that we are artists. Right. And we're recreating ourselves, and it just gave us that sort of boost and
affirmation.
Yes,
is what it was. Affirmation.
Yes, you guys really are.
We can do this.
Yes, your stuff is cool. It's what we want, and I love the fact that people feel comfortable enough with us and to tell us when there are things that they'd like to see, and to me that just means everything.
So let's just say it was a fantastic week.
So I'm really ready to get busy this week.
So what do we got going this week?
Yes.
Other than a day off. Can we please have a day off?
Yeah, we're going to need to, because, and in truth, our son got up super early this morning so that he could be with the dogs and keep them quiet and let them out to go to the bathroom so we could sleep in. And believe it or not, guys, for the first time in I don't know when, we slept till almost 8 o'clock.
It was 7:45 when we got up, and that for us is almost noon. Really, that's
we're very
practically
early
lunchtime.
risers.
Practically lunchtime.
But I was exhausted, and you were exhausted.
Yep.
Yes.
So how about this week? What do we got cooking this week?
Well, we're going to plan a couple of new classes for the new month coming in, because
Definitely gonna pencil in that ocarina class.
Yes,
Gonna get
so want to get the ocarina in, and then I'm also going to be doing a bird feeder class. So that'll be good. We've got to prep for First Friday in Snow Hill.
With what inventory we have left.
And trying to get another kiln load in.
Because we need more
We've
inventory.
got plenty of things in bisque that if we can get them glazed and the firing done, that'll help to replenish some things.
You know, I'm looking over there. We don't have as much
No,
over
not
there
as
as
much.
we sold. So
No,
we're still going to have to,
that's okay.
we're still going to have to work hard.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And then we are going to have to start making lots and lots and lots of new pieces.
Right. Especially that we got to get those raku pieces.
Yes,
done
yes,
and
because they've got to get over to the osprey nest. And then, of course, I got a message this morning from Caprico's Books saying, I need new inventory.
Caprico's Books is one of the places that has our
Yeah.
pottery on consignment, and we love that little
Yeah.
bookstore. It's an awesome
It
place,
is.
and Liz is awesome. And so we have to get some more things there, and we probably should
Yes.
check on our other
Yeah.
inventory at the Golden Clover in Snow Hill, and then
I
also
know
the Osprey Nest.
I know she needs more.
Yep.
I
Maybe
do.
maybe tomorrow will be
Well, and
on
I
the
keep
road day.
thinking, okay, we got rid of a lot of pottery yesterday, and now we have 2 places that are saying they need more pottery. So I'm
We
like,
better get busy.
we've got to get busy.
better
We
get
have to
busy.
make.
We better get busy.
Yes. You said you were going to work on the web page.
Yeah, I got to get that done.
Yeah.
Everybody's asking about it, and honestly, we're paying for a web presence. I may as well get our web page up and running.
We're not the best with that.
Well-
we feel like we do pretty good with the Facebook.
Yeah,
but not so much
the thing about the web
webpage.
page is it's not that it's difficult. It's just that it's not fun. So
Yeah.
I gotta just sit down and do it, and I can do
Yeah,
it.
and then we still need to do a little bit more debriefing about our event so that we don't lose some of the insights we gained from yesterday.
Right.
For the next time that we go, we need to really keep some notes.
One thing I noticed is we need to look at our color palette for our glazes a little bit. There really is an absence of like gold, yellow, orange kind of glazes. So we have some. Maybe we
Yeah.
need to make sure we're putting some of those out. And our greens are more of a turquoise kind of a mossy dark green. Maybe we need to start looking at some brighter greens to
Right,
go along.
right.
We want to make sure that if people have a favorite color, that they can find a piece of pottery that they like in that color. So
Yeah, my thing is, I like pottery to be colorful, and I like there to be lots and lots and lots of choices, and I don't want people to feel like, well, that's all they have. You know, is this? You know, I want them to look and be able to look through among the table and go, oh my gosh, look at that one. That one looks so different.
It
you
would
know?
be way easier for us to pick 1 or 2 colors and then make
Yes.
everything that color. That would be way easier.
Yes,
But I kind of like to keep the Wocky and Wocky
Yes.
pots, and I want things to be eclectic and colorful, and more important than anything else, I want it to be fun.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So, and it was just, I keep going back to that event. I think
Yeah.
that event will stick with me for a very long time.
Well, when we do an event and we set up and we don't sell a single piece of pottery, which has happened before,
Yeah.
or if we only sell 1 or 2 things, this will give us something positive to look back at and know that the awesome days make up for the not so awesome days. And on balance, what we're doing is a very, very good thing, and we can make it. This little studio
Yeah.
is going to make it. We're doing great.
Yeah. And the great thing is when somebody holds something in their hand and they're like, oh, it's a perfect fit. I have to have this because it's meant for me.
And I think I'm going to encourage, when we set up at other events, I'm going to encourage people to
Yeah.
pick the stuff up. Please
Yeah.
pick up the cup. Please pick up that bowl.
Because it's not just using your eyes to see a piece. You really do need to touch the piece. You need to have other senses involved. You know, you need to be able to feel the piece, to feel the texture.
Don't lick it. That would be weird. Don't do that. We don't need you to
Yes.
taste the pottery. Yep.
Yes, but somebody yesterday picked up a bowl and said, oh, yes, this is the bowl. I can already see the soup in it.
Right?
You know, so
They had a
Yeah.
plan for it. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So what else do we need to talk about?
I think that is it.
Okay, before we go, I want you guys to know, all of you who are watching, that we really, really appreciate all the support
Yes,
that you're giving
and
us.
thanks to the new subscribers too, because we have quite a few new
We picked up
subscribers.
a few
Yeah.
subscribers.
I don't know if I got that word out.
You got it. If we do get to 300, and it looks like we're going to get there, we'll start doing regular how-to videos. So please, if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that button. And then look for how-to videos coming up soon for things that you can do at home yourself.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Anything else?
I don't believe so. I think we're going to go enjoy some sunshine. We actually have 80 degrees coming up this week.
Oh, man.
Just yesterday was in the 50s, but we're going to hit 80s. So I'm like,
summertime. It's not really summer, but it certainly does feel like it. Okay,
we're getting there.
Let's go ahead and sign it out.
Yes.
All right. Toodaloo, everybody. TTFN, ta-ta for now. Take care. Have a fantastic day no matter where you're at. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.